Angel, hi.
Hi. First of all, I just want to say thank you for being such a great role model and for inspiring me and bringing us all together. Um,
Thank you.
I
That
really
means a lot.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I do have, you kind of spoke to it a little bit about we can just choose, the relationships that we want to interact with or not, if we're committed to them.
Yeah,
I guess my question is around like I realize that, people occur to me based on my view, but I often find in certain friendships that are close that I'm the catalyst for triggering them, their own selves, for them triggering them and them not realizing that they're only relating to me based on their view.
correct. Yeah, works both ways.
Right. So it makes it kind of difficult to relay that with someone when they have that, they're holding on to that view and not able to see.
Great. I'm glad you brought this up. So this falls into the realm of where each of us may have hurt somebody, right? So this comes back to Gina's understanding of responsibility, not fault or blame, but
Mhm.
rather who have you been in the relationships that mean something to you that has created the view they now have of you. So I'm glad you brought this up
Yeah.
because it goes both ways. So where can Angel recognize that who you've been for your friends or people that are important to you that reinforces, and justifies their view of you? So where you let somebody down, where you did something that was mean or hurtful, where you didn't stick to your word, where you said you would do something for somebody and you didn't, you know, so we could put that under the general auspices of where people lose trust with each other. Because we're all human, we're all flawed at the end of the day. We're not going to be able to keep to what we say all the time. And so what that does is it can inspire the absence of trust that others have with us.
Mhm.
And so that can take time to get back.
Okay.
Does
Okay.
that make sense? Can you be responsible for some of the views that you've created in other people?
I can. It's just an interesting because it's like it's their views. It's the way their perspective is. Like if someone thinks so for example, if they don't think they're important enough, and then they see that I've hung out with somebody else, and so then that brings up their own feelings of not being important enough. So then
Yes.
they fulfill that narrative, but it's like that's your narrative.
Yes. Okay, great. So perfect example. So here you get to be responsible for a couple of things. One, you're doing the work, so you're, without making anyone less than, you're, let's say, a little bit more aware and evolved, right? You're in the mastermind. That's a pretty unique group of community of people. So you can recognize that you focusing on another friend where another friend got a little butt hurt or whatever it is, her context of not being as important is only going to be justified because she gets to find evidence, right? Remember, we're all looking for evidence to keep our context intact. So your behavior, only you know to what degree are you truly authentically ignoring that friend, maybe to spend more time with another friend, where you can be responsible for, like, okay, I really get how that might have left you feeling that I didn't appreciate you as much as friend Y versus her, right? So
Mhm.
that's where you could, if you're interested, you could say, I really get that. How does that leave you feeling? And you could, quote unquote, without being a coach, you could help her understand part of her context,
Right.
where she might say, well, I don't know, I just feel like you like her better than me. I'm like, oh, how does that must really hurt, right? You can be with her experience because otherwise, what's happening is you're in your context if you're doing something wrong.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And I'm
Right.
a bad friend.
Yeah. So you get
Yeah.
to be right about your context. You see, it's also slippery. So when Angel can see that you're not doing anything wrong, you're just doing what you're doing, but like that breath that you just let go there, right? That just made a bit more space for love. You feel that?
I do.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful. So now you get to see you're not doing anything wrong. It's okay if you want to spend more time with somebody else versus another. But as if you're committed to that friendship, which is obviously moving you now, what you just see and experience, is that you're not a bad person for who you choose to spend time with, but you're obviously taking it personally. But you
Mhm.
can realize that you're free to hang out with who you want. And you can also listen to the impact that might have on others.
Okay.
which is really beautiful because what I hear is that people love hanging out with you. It's a compliment.
It is, but then it feels like I'm responsible. Like I think too of that, obviously we're sentient beings and we feel a lot, right? But I deeply feel everything.
Yeah.
And so I understand why this person may feel this way or that way, and I get it. But then I think where the part that's difficult is that they don't get
No, it's not that.
it.
The part that's difficult is you think it's incumbent upon you to do something about it.
Yes. Yeah, that's really hard.
It is, but the reactions in the faces of people was so powerful just then. Like it's giving me tingles. You think it's up to you to do something about that. The pressure is what we're seeing in your face.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know that it's not my job. It's not my responsibility. I've become more aware of that now, where I used to try to hold everyone's emotions, and I realize that that's a disservice to everyone.
It is.
But yeah, it's hard to feel. It gets really difficult to feel.
It it does, but it's also not because when you recognize their emotions, you're feeling, but what if that's the emotion they need to feel for whatever they're here to transcend?
Right. Exactly. That's why I realize it can be a disservice.
Yeah.
Right. But
So that's
it's like, even, I know we're on a time
it's
constraint.
okay. It's okay. This is so valuable.
It's just, for example, I was in the airport during our last mastermind. I had to listen. My flight was canceled. There was a frenzy. So it's interesting you were talking about that. And I could just feel the waves of like everyone's emotions and stress. And this lady behind me, like wanting to cut in line because she had an important question. It's kind of like we all do. And it's like, I realize like these are just the circumstances and everyone is just creating all of their suffering around it. And it's really hard for me to feel. It's like, why? I know I don't need to take that on, but I do, and I feel
So where
it.
did you learn that?
Well, my constraint as a child was more of a declaration, not a negation, of I am bad. I had the
Mm,
experience of abuse and the narrative of abandonment, and it was up to me. Like I had to no, there was nobody, I wasn't important enough, right? That was my negation of to keep safe,
yeah.
I just had to figure it out. I had to just take it on myself. Just as
Mm,
a little person, that's just kind of how I realized, like, if I'm good at school, if I'm a good friend, if I'm a good, if I'm good, then I'm not bad, right? But
yeah.
I really took it on as a declaration. And I realized how much that's driven my life. And I've come full circle, but there's still this part of just of feeling other people's emotions
Yeah.
is
Listen,
really,
Angel, your name is no coincidence. And it might be part of the pressure that you feel, but I don't want you to misinterpret being an angel as something that you have to do. It's a state of who you get to be. Just like when Luke said about how he dropped his son off and he realized how much he loves that little boy. And then he gave us the quote unquote qualifier that it's actually how much he loves.
yeah. Yeah,
So what if for you, my dear, the same thing is true, how much you love, which you could say is synonymous with how much you feel. We just want to remove the part that then makes you feel that you have to do something about what you feel. What would it be like for you to walk around the world, being able to feel, which I would say is our nature? We're sentient beings, as you said. I'm incredibly observant in what I can feel. Like I point out the very subtle movement of your breath just when you released, right? Like that's pretty hypersensitive.
Mhm. Yeah.
But what if you could have all of that without the illusion that you're supposed to do anything about what you see? What would that feel like?
It would feel like I'm not using my gifts
How so?
because I get it, I understand. But if I keep it all to myself, then how I'm
No,
not.
but what did you just say? You get it and you understand. What if all that people want is to be gotten and understood?
Yeah.
But see, you've got that extra layer. It's not only that you get and understand, but then you think it's incumbent upon you to do something about it, right?
Well, yeah. Yeah.
That's the suffering part. If you walk past a chrysalid and you could see inside what was happening, and perhaps with your capacity to feel, you could, and see the struggle that that caterpillar is going through in order to metamorphosize into a butterfly, you could get it and go, wow, that's really tough. It feels confining. It's hard. You're going through a lot of very difficult challenges right now. But is there anything for you to do about it?
No, I guess not. I mean, in my first
You
thought
can
is
get
like, oh,
rid
I
of the
want to protect
guess.
that. I
It's
want to
just,
protect that chrysalis. I want to make sure that it can thrive and grow.
yeah, but what if the karma of that chrysalis is not to make it? None of us are God. We don't get to say when people come and go. You can have compassion for your friend that feels she's like left out a little bit, which will be part of her story and whatever she went through as a kid. But it's not your job, Angel.
Yes, I just feel like it's missed opportunities.
Yeah, but there's a difference between choosing to show up for somebody versus the way that you had it previously contextualized is that you had to. It's up to you. Do you see the difference? I can choose right now, as I did, to interact with you because I see a huge opportunity for everybody in this mastermind to recognize everybody's got their version of this, that it's somehow incumbent upon us to do fill in the blank, make other people happy, be a good person, do the right thing, survive. I didn't have to. I don't feel sorry for you. You're fine. So
Thank
is it okay that you can feel everything and that you have a gift?
Yes.
Does that mean you have to do something?
No, I guess I want to.
That's clear. And we're going to get into that right now. But I want you to consider, as slippery as it is, even the wanting is a little bit inauthentic.
Hmm.
Can I leave you there and we'll get to it in a minute?
Yes. Can I just also humor you for 1 minute while I
Please.
keep talking to you? Because I had a revelation in our first mastermind, and long story short, I felt like I had a Dorothy moment of like coming full circle at the Wizard of Oz when she's like, "You've had the power all along," and the Scarecrow or somebody was like, "Well, why did you tell her? Like, why'd we have to go through all of this?" And she says, "Oh, because even if I did, she wouldn't believe me, and she had to learn for herself." And so through that and journaling, I came up with a quote in an ode to you, because this kind of relates of like, I know I don't actually need to do anything, that I can just be, and that life will present me with people and circumstances to reveal invitations of opportunity.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And thank you for the opportunity to be with you and to see your angelic ways that now get amplified by realizing you don't have to do the job of an angel, but just simply be an angel.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.